staff writer Kelley, member of the Westlake newspaper with me. My name is Peter Cummings. I'm the managing editor of Westlake, and we'll be moderating between the two of us tonight's forum. The questions will come from us. I have gathered your questions, those of you that left them in the box outside the auditorium. We will not get through all of the questions. We have an hour and a half. We will do our best to keep things moving, keep the questions coming. Any questions that we do not get to remain fair game for story follow-up, either in print or online. We're always looking for more information to get out to more people. So we'll keep those in hand and will not just be discarded. The only last thing I would say is that as this is intended to be an informational event, we ask everybody to keep a sense of decorum about them. 7 candidates for 3 seats in a school district that has a lot going on. I'm grateful for the passions that I've heard and read about, but tonight we'll let the candidates speak from the stage, and I guess we will get underway from here. Candidates, you have 3 minutes each to give opening remarks. Again, because we are limited to an hour and a half, the more succinct those statements are, the more questions we can get through, and we'll just try and strike the right balance for the best interest both of identifying who you are for the public as well as getting questions answered. So, to begin, Mr. Tom Mays at the far end of the table, you may take it away, 3 minutes. I will let you know when your time is up.
All right, thank you. As Mr. Cummings said, my name is Tom Mays. I am the current president of the Westlake Board of Education. I want to thank the Westlake with these schools, putting this together. This forum is very important because we do have an important election coming up on November 8th that will allow the citizens of Westlake to determine how they want the schools to continue and if they want to maintain the excellence of those Westlake City schools. The one thing I would challenge each of you to do tonight and for the rest of the election period is to ask each and every one of us if we'll follow the Board of Education ethics, which indicates, and I would like to read this, while serving as a member of my Board of Education, I accept the responsibility to improve public education. To that end, I will remember that my first and greatest concern must be the educational welfare of all students attending the public schools. You should each ask these candidates, all 7 of us, if that is our first and foremost goal and responsibility of being on this Board of Education. A couple goals that I have tonight, just so that one, you can put a name with a face for each one of us. Excuse me. And 2, to listen, because there has been a lot of rhetoric and misstatements out there in the public, so I hope that you'll listen closely to the questions that are being asked and the answers given. As I indicated, my name is Tom Mays. I'm married to Beth for the last 26 years. I know you're probably saying, wow, he was 4 when he got married. But no, I was much older than that. I have 2 children, Sarah, who's a senior at Columbia College, and a son, Michael, who is a sophomore at the University of Cincinnati. We've lived in Westlake a little over 18 years now, and during that entire time, we've been actively involved in both the city and the schools. My involvement on the board for these last 6 years, I have been vice president of the board. I'm currently the president. Being on the subcommittee for the curriculum, being on the core construction team with regard to our facilities, being the liaison and delegate to the Ohio School Board Association, as well as a number of other matters for the schools. I take being on the school board very seriously. I do think it's something that if you're going to be on the school board, you should dedicate your time to that. As I've stated previously, when I was first appointed 6 years ago, and then when I ran to be retained 4 years ago, is that I have no future political aspirations. My goal is to do what's in the best interest of the district and the city, and by doing that, provide the best education possible within the financial parameters established by the taxpayers of Westlake. I think when you review whether or not a school district is doing its job, you have to look at both the educational side and the financial side. And I think I heard a bell.
You did, sir.
I will get to those things as we continue. Thank you very much.
Mr. Falcone.
Thank you. Peter Cummings, thank you Westlake, thank you fellow candidates, and thank you community. It's a pleasure and an honor to be speaking with you here tonight from my alma mater. I've been asked over these past months why I'm running for school board. I did go to Westlake schools, K through 12, my wife first grade through graduation. My children in the district, my entire family was in Westlake. But my answer to that question is actually much simpler. I want Westlake schools to be as great as they can possibly be, because I think that benefits everyone. Definitely the students, definitely the administration and staff, and absolutely the community. I also know that taxpayers, like me, expect frugality and responsibility when it comes to running the district. As a board member, I promise that I will always remember that my primary responsibility, job one, is the educational welfare of the students. I will always remember that my job is one of governance. I help to set the direction for the district, and then I rely on our talented men and women to do their jobs. I will always look for ways to improve the district's budget position, both from a cost and revenue perspective. I will provide a voice for all stakeholders, and I will never, ever put my own agenda before that of the district. I think that we need fair and reasonable people to lead this district into the future. I'm one of those people. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gettings.
Hello and welcome. I'm not as loud as you are. Hello and welcome. My name is Laurie Gettings, and I'm running for Westlake School Board. I want to thank Westlake as well for giving us this opportunity to talk to all of you tonight. And I'd like to thank all of you for coming out tonight and caring enough to hear about everything that we have to say so you can make an educated decision when it comes to voting time. First and foremost, our children's education is my highest priority. I'm running for school board because there have been several occasions when board members have put budget issues and petty differences ahead of our children and their education. I will bring consensus by making sure every voice is heard and every idea is discussed. This will foster an atmosphere of active discussion, cooperation, and enable compromise. With all the fighting, it's easy to lose sight of what a strong school district we have. While I agree we need to keep a close eye on spending, the focus needs to be on finding new and fiscally responsible ways to continue to provide each and every child with an excellent education. We must give all of our students a broad spectrum of learning opportunities. I applaud the school district for embarking on the International Baccalaureate program for elementary schools. This program is comprised of an international board that oversees and tests thousands of international schools and holds them to global academic standards. However, we must roll this out to all grade levels because we are now living in a constantly shrinking world. Many American companies work with and in foreign countries. I have a neighbor who has worked for the same Fortune 500 company for the last 10 years. 10 years ago, his work was exclusively in the United States. Now he travels to China 4 or 5 times a year. We need to do a better job of preparing our students for an international job market. One of my goals is to have all high school students participate in service learning or job shadowing. This program combines real-world and academic activities that can be incorporated into existing classroom goals. It helps students gain perspective and understanding of business, giving back to the community, and learning about occupations they may be considering. Currently, we have a few internship programs. Lauren Chauvin, a Westlake High School senior, just completed one at the Cleveland Clinic. She conducted a study of youth football helmets for the NFL. Imagine the success we would enjoy if we rolled this out to many different companies and organizations and all of our students at all levels. To ensure our academic goals will be met, we must develop sound strategic plans with well-developed cost components. We need to hold administration, board members, vendors, and suppliers accountable for their pieces of the budget. I'm a taxpayer and the mom of 2 small kids who attend Bassett. I know we've all been asked to go without raises, take pay cuts, pay more for our benefits, and work longer hours. In Westlake, we're fortunate. We have phenomenal teachers, fantastic administrators and staff. They spend long hours teaching our children, making sure they're all the best that they can be. They go the extra mile and they treat them as the unique individuals they are. That said, we can't count on taxpayers to continually vote in budget increases that result in higher taxes. The well has not run dry, it has definitely been dipped into. Let's work together to keep our schools strong. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Alpert.
Good evening. I want to thank Mr. Cummings and Mr. Kelley for hosting this forum. I'm Michelle Albert, and I'm a 1992 graduate of Westlake High School. My husband, David, is a 1991 graduate. To begin, I'm going to tell you the story. At the end of my junior year, I had enough credit hours to be able to skate through my senior year. I walked into my appointment with the guidance counselor, Mr. Sywick, with my class enrollment form. I sat down across from him and handed him my paper. He looked it over and said, "No, I'm not enrolling you in these courses." I was planning on taking quite the easy course load. He filled out a new form for me and told me to take it home to my dad. My dad needed to sign off on it, then I would meet again with Mr. Sywick to enroll in my senior year courses. I ended up taking AP European History, AP Biology, Honors Physics, Honors Pre-Calculus, and Honors English. Now, Mr. Sywick did not have to change my course enrollment, but he was a dedicated professional who cared about my education and my future. I expect the same level of dedication in this school system for my children. My son Andrew started kindergarten this year at Hilliard Elementary. My younger son Carson is 3, and he will be starting kindergarten at Westlake in 2 years. There is nothing I value more than the education of my children, and I want to be able to give them the same opportunities for educational achievement that I have had. I am running for school board because I care about our community and our schools. I want to see our taxpayers protected. We are fortunate to live in this community. Many of our neighbors are doing fine in this economy. However, I want to protect the people who are not. I don't want to see our elderly on fixed incomes taxed out of their homes. I don't want to see Westlakers who have lost their jobs forced to move from their homes because they can no longer afford their taxes. I want to see our children continue to have high levels of achievement. We cannot guarantee continued excellence if something does not change. I have seen the 5-year financial forecast on the Ohio Department of Education website. This information is reported to the state fire district. We are expected to be in a deficit of over $12 million by 2015. There are 3 ways to avoid this deficit: increase revenues or tax the community higher, decrease expenditures or cut programs or services or cuts to our labor force, or a combination of both. We need to elect a board who is willing to make tough decisions for the betterment of our community and our schools. I would like to guarantee continued excellence. Your children and mine are depending on us. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bodi.
Thank you all for coming. My name is Robert Bodi, and I am running for the Westlake School Board because I think there is nothing more important than the proper education of our children. I am an engineer, a mathematician, a businessman, a patent attorney, and a parent of 2 children who are in the school district. I have extensive experience in running businesses in an economical and efficient manner, and I know how to solve problems and provide leadership under difficult circumstances. I believe that I have the skills needed by the Westlake School District. It is my firm belief that public education should be provided in a cost-effective and economical manner. Districts must show that taxpayer money is being responsibly spent. It is time for the school board to properly represent all of the citizens by enforcing strict fiscal discipline on the district, and in addition to requiring educational excellence. Both are necessary. Currently, the district is facing a $3.4 million deficit, which will rise to over $12.4 million by 2015. Already, teachers have been laid off and busing cut to address these problems, but this is the wrong solution. It harms education and it harms our children. Even the teachers and their union recognize that things must change, as they have finally voted to offer concessions. A costly $84 million bond issue was passed last year to correct years of neglect of school buildings. For too long, our children have been educated in deteriorated schools. The board must take care of this property, especially the new schools that are being built. But the board's history is to spend the money elsewhere and not maintain the buildings. This cannot be allowed to continue. The current board has done little to address these problems and has failed in its role as stewards of the taxpayer money. The proposed solution? Go to the taxpayers for yet more money. But we all know about the current condition of our economy. We all know that taxpayers are sick and tired of being asked to contribute more and more just to feed inefficient government spending. We all know that retirees have not received increases in their fixed incomes for some time. In such an atmosphere, does the district really believe that the taxpayers of Westlake are just going to open up their pocketbooks yet again? I fear that answer is no, as it has been in other districts like Strongsville and Rexville. Taxpayers want to see proper fiscal stewardship before they agree to spend even more of their hard-earned money. Don't let the district comfort you with the statement that this is how it has always been done. These are not normal times. People are demanding more from their government, and rightfully so. It is time to replace this board with members who will pledge to address these problems head-on. A new contract will be negotiated next year. Can you trust the current board members who got us into these problems to protect the interests of the Westlake taxpayers? It is time for new leadership. More layoffs and custom services are coming if we don't get this district finances in order. Education will seriously suffer to the harm of our community. Vote to address these issues by electing a new board on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rapp.
First of all, I want to thank Westlake and Peter Cummings in particular for working so hard to make this event happen. It's valuable for the citizens of Westlake to hear their candidates address the questions and issues that we are all so concerned about. You will hear a great deal of information tonight. Some of it will be facts, and much of it will be opinion. I sincerely hope that you will carefully discern between the two so that you can formulate your decision about who will best represent your interests for the next 4 years. These next 4 years will be very challenging years for the Westlake Board of Education. The state of American economy in general, and Ohio in particular, will play a major role in the decisions that will need to be made by this board. Issue 2 will be decided in November by the voters of the entire state of Ohio, but the results of that vote will directly and intimately impact the city of Westlake. Whether it passes or fails, Issue 2 will substantially change the decision-making climate in which the board must operate, causing them to face decisions that are neither familiar nor comfortable. The board will either be required to determine in cooperation with the Westlake Teachers Association performance-based metrics that will be used to assess teacher performance, or they will be required to determine how to address significant reductions in state funding for education. Either of these situations will require difficult decisions to be made. It is best that these decisions be made on the basis of factual information, not on the basis of personal relationships or vested interests. Your best representatives will be those that have had extensive experience in the measurement, assessment, analysis, and implementation of information-based decisions. You, as the members of the community of Westlake, have the opportunity this year to have a significant impact on how the Board of Education will operate for the next 4 years. You will be electing 3 members to the Board of Education in November, and this could well represent a voting majority of the board for those next 4 years. You must choose wisely. You should not base your decisions on rhetoric, emotional pleas, or promises, but on the character of the individuals that you will be electing. Do not judge your candidates by the promises that they make, but by the promises that they keep. Promises easily made are easily broken. It is the integrity of the individual that will provide you assurance that the decisions made in the future will reflect the values you see in your candidate today. For these very reasons, it is imperative that the citizens of Westlake, choosing wisely, elect representatives to the Board of Education that best represent the broadest interests of the whole community and are best qualified to assess the issues that will arise in an unbiased, rational, and reasonable manner, and who will make decisions that are unfettered by personal entanglements or special interests. I believe that I represent that kind of person. I hope to demonstrate that to you tonight in this forum, and I ask that you seriously consider me in November for the Board of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Rapp. Ms. Winter.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Peter and Kevin. So appreciate that you're all out here listening to all of us. I'm Carol Winter. I'm the current Vice President of the school board, the very school board that these two gentlemen were just speaking of. Westlake is a community that is dedicated to excellence. And for that reason, not only have I been very privileged to serve you, the community, on the financial oversight were key in their decision to relocate to Westlake. Make no mistake, as every candidate has said, this election is extremely important. It's important not just for your children's education, not just for the education of all the public school students here in Westlake, but also for the entire community. Because as goes our schools, will go our community. We need strong schools. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and what I've done on the board. I'm an educator with 16 years of working as a teacher and an assistant principal. I bring my strong experience with school finance, with strategic planning, community outreach, to my board role. I currently am pursuing my doctorate in educational leadership at Kent State. Most importantly, I have spent my entire professional career in the business of advocating for kids, advocating for public school students, and that's what I continue to do as a board member for you. I have been working to help the district build a world-class, globally connected educational program that our community not only wants, but our students need. We've already heard that from other candidates here tonight. I do that with building the infrastructure and the curricular program that will allow us to achieve that goal. We have the leaders in place in our district to achieve that goal for the vision that the board has already set. I have also been an advocate for high academic standards in our district, and will continue our long record of excellence because we, this year alone, earned our 13th excellent rating from Ohio. But we still have low taxes. Our taxes are lower than 75% of the districts in Cuyahoga County. With that, I will say thank you for coming, and I look forward to answering more questions.
Thank you, and again, thank you to all the candidates for agreeing to come tonight. The questions will be asked in progressive order here. With 7 candidates, we will look to keep things moving and interesting to the audience. If we have moved on from a question and I come to you, you may choose to go back to the question. If you have not had the opportunity to answer that, your 2-minute time limit to answer is the same, and I may then opt to ask you the same question again. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Kelley.
Thank you, Peter. Superintendent Dan Keenan has suggested that Westlake teachers' pay range be at the bottom of the top 1/3 of demographically and economically comparative districts such as Rocky River, Bay Village, and Beechwood. Do you agree, or should Westlake teachers' salaries be set in a vacuum? Put that another way, how do you balance keeping wages of Westlake teachers competitive with neighboring districts? And we'll start with Mr. Falcone.
Thank you. I absolutely agree with that. I think that our district is excellent because of the excellent men and women who work in it. We have to balance fiscal prudence with being competitive. I would never support anything that would make us uncompetitive in the marketplace because, again, without excellent people in our schools, we just have a bunch of buildings. We rely on our excellent people, and we have excellent people today.
Okay, very good. Ms. Gettings.
Well, I know currently Dr. Keenan is working with the unions on concessions and salaries and benefits, as many of us have had to do in our own households. I do think that we have excellent, phenomenal teachers, and I think that we're very fortunate to have them. I don't think we always appreciate them the way that we should. However, we are living in different economic times than we were 2, 3, 5 years ago. Everybody that I know is making sacrifices in their budgets at work in their household. And I do hope that Dr. Keenan is able to work with the unions to get our teacher salaries more in line with our neighboring communities. Having said that, I do think that we still need to stay competitive in our pay for teachers. And I do know that they earn every single penny that they make. So, I'm hoping that if he works with them on their concessions and salaries and benefits, that will be enough to put us back in line with our other communities that are surrounding us today.
Thank you. I would encourage candidates heard adequately? The audience, is everyone able to hear so far? Okay. Ms. Albert, the question to you on salaries.
I would not consider decreasing salaries for Westlake students or Westlake teachers. They do need to stay competitive. However, I would be encouraging limitations to the amount of pay raise that they receive every year. According to Mercer's 2010-2011 compensation planning survey, the average pay increase for United States businesses this year will be 2.9%. Our teachers average 5 to 6%. So I think if we can work on decreasing the amount of yearly pay raises and put it on a merit-based system, that would help our finances.
Mr. Bodi.
This is a situation where I think I'm standing with the teachers and the teachers unions who have voted to offer concessions to the district. Currently, Westlake salaries are in the top 3% of the state of Ohio. And I dispute the notion that you have to offer salaries that high in order to get a teacher, a qualified teacher to work in Westlake. And here's why. Westlake is an excellent community to work with. Westlake schools are well participated in by the parents. Westlake schools have motivated students who want to learn. Any teacher who wants whose goal in life is to teach the students finds an excellent outlet in Westlake to do that. And I think that the schools that need top salaries of 3% are schools like Cleveland, Youngstown, schools where parents do not get involved, where students are not motivated. Those are the districts where I think teachers need to be at the complete top of the salary scale. Westlake, I think we need to offer competitive salaries. Right now, 85% of Ohio's districts pay an average rate of $60,000 for Westlake teachers. Westlake averages $70,000. And I think under the current economic climate, we must ask for more sacrifices. In particular, fringe benefits have risen much too fast, and we're going to have to ask the teachers to cover more of those fringe benefits. But it's not just the teachers. There's also problem with administrative salaries in Westlake. We need to get more in track with what is, the market is actually bearing. And currently, Westlake is much above market rates.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rapp.
Westlake doesn't need an excellent schools. In the rating system of the Ohio Department of Education, there are 5 ratings for the school system. Excellent is the second best. While we are an excellent school, we are the second best school. There are 11 out of 20 of the similar school districts who are rated higher than Westlake is. While excellent is not a bad rating by any stretch of the imagination, it is not a sense of urgency to fix the problem. There's an opportunity to improve the schools. There's an opportunity to improve the educational system. There's an opportunity to increase the involvement of parents in the educational process, which is necessary to be successful. I would encourage us to consider the need for continual improvement in our education program. Where I return to the state of excellence with distinction that we had several years ago. I'm sure Westlake can do that. I would like to see that happen. I would like to be part of that process. Regarding teacher salaries, the Westlake Teachers Association has done a good job in negotiating their earnings. They're entitled to that. They've negotiated. God bless you for that. When I started teaching many years ago, I got paid $6,000 a year. I had to drive the school bus to the kids. Try that. That's not fun. However, there are a lot of fringe benefits, as Mr. Bodi said, which accelerate the amount of money that's spent for the teachers. And that is health care and retirement programs. The state of Wisconsin has amended their constitution to allow more competitive bidding on healthcare systems, and schools which were formerly on the verge of default now have excess funds and can go several more years without a levy. Issue 2, again, regardless of its outcome, will have an impact on negotiations for earnings and benefits next year. And I would encourage us to keep our minds open as to a reasonable approach to those negotiations so that we don't have to go
Thank you. Ms. Winter, as a member of the current board, let me restate the question a little bit. Do you feel that you as a board member are put in the position of having to choose wage competitiveness and tax relief?
Say that again,
The question goes to keeping the district competitive in terms of salary.
Yes.
Is that a choice as a current board member you feel especially weighted upon by when it comes to also having to consider tax relief?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, the board did, in our last retreat, direct our superintendent to keep our salaries competitive. We are not at the top of the pay scale. As a matter of fact, in comparing us to the 39 like districts that the ODE compares our scores to, as well as our neighboring districts, we're in the bottom of the top third. Now that is something that is an ongoing process of looking at. Do we need to readjust for the market? Currently, we are in the middle of a contract, and we thankfully are talking to teachers about concessions. However, we are bound by that contract until 2012. And until that time, we can't do anything about it. But at that time, when we're renegotiating contracts, I think that we do, as a board, need to find a way to come to agreement as to what does competitive mean. And right now, we need to do a market readjustment. Our teachers know that, our administration knows that, and our board knows that. And that's why we're talking about concessions and shared sacrifice. So yes, I do believe that's something we need to remain competitive. However, we also need to be in tune with what the current market is. That's exactly what happens in private industry, and that's the way we run things here in Westlake, and that's the way we do our fiscal planning. I do need, since I have time left, in reference to the excellent with distinction versus the excellent rating, make sure you go online and read exactly what excellent with distinction means. Because what that means is, did we exceed growth as compared to the small number of school districts with which we are compared? And we didn't. We didn't exceed growth this year. Well, there are some reasons for that. One of which that's very important that most people don't know is that the state of Ohio changed the requirement for meeting or for exceeding distinction from 1 standard deviation from the mean to 2. So that means that it's, again, the testing is a bit of a moving target. We still are committed to excellence with distinction, and we will achieve that.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. Mr. Mays, what does competitive mean?
With regard to teacher salaries, well, first, I just want to, before I forget, Dr. Keenan did not recommend that we're in the bottom of the top third. That was stated, and I want to indicate that that is incorrect. The school board determines salaries. Dr. Keenan is part of the negotiating team, but he takes the lead from the school board. What is competitive? Competitive can mean a number of different things, but as far as this question is concerned, is that we have to remain competitive in the market. Westlake and the community the Westlake community has told the school board for years and years, that they want to have the best school possible. And that means that you have to have the best and brightest teachers possible. So to remain competitive, to attract those people, just like in any other profession. Since I'm an attorney, and I know Mr. Bodi is an attorney, we're going to pick on attorneys. To remain competitive in the legal field, to attract the best and the brightest, sometimes you do offer more. Westlake has an advantage because, as was stated, it's a great community that has great support from the parents, so it makes it easier to attract people. But as far as competitive is concerned, we have to look at that under the next contract, which is up at the end of 2012. We've explained that we want to be in the market for those teachers. The current board voted on a contract which is now 3 years old, and at that time, those figures were actually below market rates. This current contract, or this last contract here, is below what the contracts were giving out at that time. With regard to competitive bidding on healthcare, you have to understand that Westlake Board of Education was the first board of many, many schools that required their teachers and staff to pay more of their health care than other surrounding districts. It's only at this time now that everybody's looking at getting more and more. But as Ms. Winter said, we're in the midst of a contract. All of that will be reviewed again once that contract is up.
Thank you very much.